anyone would like a copy of the adopted budget, they're here on the table. Welcome to the Town Board meeting, Thursday, November 21st, 2013. Please rise so we can salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for our troops abroad and at home. Emergency exits are to my right. The door you came in, and there's also an additional door. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Here.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Here.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Here.
And noted Supervisor Flood and Councilwoman Hesselberg are absent.
Public comment?
No one signed up.
Okay. Before we go to discussion of English as a second language agreement with Dutchess Community College and Town of Amenia, I wanted to go over the budget information so everyone knew exactly where we were with it. We are just under the tax cap. We're at 1.66, which is the tax cap that we had to stay under this year. That includes highway, general, and the special districts with water and lighting. The assessed value for Amenia was in 2013 was $565 million, went up to $567 million for 2014. We did meet on November 19th to discuss the preliminary budget, and we made some changes. We reduced the supply line from $10,650 to $9,650. We reduced contingency from $60,000 to $50,000, and we added $3,000 for an additional recreation maintenance person at $15 an hour to work 10 hours a week during May, June, July, and August, which are the peak months. It turns out that with those changes, the adopted budget, the change in the adopted budget from 2014 to 2013 was 5% per thousand, and dividing that by 2013 comes to a 2.1% overall increase. Now, that is only for people who get taxed just on general and highway. If you're in one of the lighting district or the water district, the tax would be a little bit different. We were fortunate to be able to use a $22,000 allowable amount from an $80,000 allowable amount under the tax cap last year. We were under. There's a formula you have to follow. It isn't based on exactly on the lines in the budget, whether you have 50,000 in contingency or 60,000. There's a formula, and that certain numbers have to be plugged in. And once all the numbers were plugged in, that's where we came out. So we're fortunate to be under the cap.
That was a carryover number because we were under last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were $80,000 under last year, and we were allowed to use 22,000 of that this year. So that's why we're under the cap. So I just wanted to explain what we did at the meeting the other night and what the end result was.
Can I add that we did change the town board conferences from 250 to 850, right, and that we reduced for the same amount the supervisors conferences line from 1,200 to 600. So 600 went to town board members because we have new town board members who will need to be trained.
Yeah, that was to add more to, but that didn't,
It was a wash.
yeah, it was a wash. That, you know, it wasn't an increase in the amount or a decrease in the amount. Ian, you want to go over some of the things you are? For Willow Lane and...
Willow Lane, it looks like we're coming to an end. Fortunately, I last reported to the board that everything had been submitted to the county and we were just waiting for payment. The issue with the claim filed by Slaters had been resolved. If you recall, the issue with the Slaters was that when Gleason installed the pipe on their property in the wrong location, he had uprooted some trees and bushes and had agreed to replace them at his own cost. That issue has been resolved by Gleason is going to make a payment to Slaters in the amount of $3,130 to cover the cost of the trees and the bushes, and the Slaters are going to purchase those trees and bushes and install them themselves. After I had initially reported that everything was in with the county, I heard back from Audra Murray, and she said there was some additional documentation that had to be submitted, most by Gleason. Gleason has since submitted all of that, everything that he had to submit. There are only two things that we need to still get to the county, both of which I have with me tonight. One is cover page for requesting payment, and that's supposed to be signed by town supervisor. And I don't know if Bill is not going to be here. I spoke to Victoria earlier about this. What I would propose is have her sign it. I did call Audra Murray. I didn't hear back from her before the meeting. And what I would do is have Victoria sign as deputy supervisor. If that's not sufficient, then I'll contact Bill tomorrow and arrange for a time to meet and get that signed and get that in. The other is the voucher, which Gleason signed and I have the original copy of. And the county just needs the board to go through their normal procedure for approving the voucher and then signing it, however, and I'm not even sure if all the board members sign it or only certain ones, but that's it. And then I'll get that into the county.
Okay.
I am holding the check, just to further update, these things just happened today. The Slaters did sign a release, releasing the town and Gleason from any claims. So that's been done. I will get the check for the $3,130, which I am holding. The attorney for Gleason has given that to me to hold in escrow pending receipt of the signed release from the Slaters, which I know I've seen a copy of it. I don't have the original, but once I get that, I'll give the check to Slater's attorney. We'll have the release. I'll keep that, so that precludes Slaters from pursuing their claim against the town. And then we're just dealing with the county. Assuming I can get the required signatures on the cover page, I'll get that in tomorrow. And then, I know the county wanted to pay this, needed to pay it by end of the year, so I would assume that that payment is going to come relatively quickly from them. that should be sent directly to the town. I don't think it's going to come to me. But what I'll do is tomorrow I'll call Audra again and hopefully get to speak to her just to explain, we have all the documents, and I'll either send those in or drop them off, because she does need the original for the cover page for the request for change. And I'll get some idea of how long it's going to take county to cut a check.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Committees?
We met last night with both the Enhancement Committee and the CAC, and the Enhancement Committee went over the plans for Holiday of Lights and the different groups that are involved, and our plans are taking shape. Thank you, Victoria, for being there, and Marilyn Noe. Lots of people have been working together to make sure that there's food and a parade and Santa's workshop and gifts for the children. The dance program is shaping up nicely. We're going to have a recital the night before on Friday the 13th at 6:30 with a kind of a ceremony. And then also they'll be performing again the next day for Holiday of Lights, December 14th from 3 to 4. And we encourage you to come and show your support. We have our oldest couple is going to be, and the most senior, have choreographed their own number, so that's an exciting new, they've expressed interest and picked out their own music. There'll be a tap number, there'll be the cup song with cups and a vocalist, so it's not strictly dance, it's bringing out what talents that they have, or interested in. So the kids have had an awful lot to do with putting their show together, and June is so well versed in all different things: tap, ballet, waltz, rumba. They're doing a Jewish folk dance that's going to be different, and it's just a wide range all over the map, from modern things that the kids will recognize to things that people my age and older would recognize and enjoy. So there's something there for everybody to enjoy. I think it's going very nicely. We do need a lot of volunteers. We need people just to see that all the food that comes in during the 10 to 3 o'clock time frame, all the food gets handled. We need volunteers to greet people. We need people to help with the decorating on the night before. We'll be doing some work on Friday, but we'll also be doing it the December 7th as well, from 10 to noon. And we meet at Fountain Square, and we could use lots of help, just an extra hand to help wrap the garlands and put them around the poles and get the tree, start those decorations going. So we encourage everybody to join in and help us with that. The CAC also met the same night, and we talked about the fishing access down at the Wasatch Park. That will have to wait until April because we've missed the opportunity to put stones into, do work near the creek that goes through Wasatch Park. So it'll come together in April when Ian Holbeck has more time. He's going to donate his equipment to bring the large rocks that we wanted to put down to make more of a ledge, kind of an easy access for fishermen right under the bridge, where you cross the bridge to go into the Wasatch Park. The fishing access would be right there, a nice gentle slope down to the stream, so you could hang out there.
So that's the Trout Unlimited money?
Well, we didn't need that money, so Ian said he didn't need any money, and the Baileys donated some rocks that are great, and so with his equipment, we're just doing it. And we've submitted the permit, we have the permit. Dave Reagan sketched it up and worked with the DEC, so I think we're ready to go in April. And then kind of the balance of the meeting was spent going over the EAF that the Sila Ridge has submitted, looking at it from It's not quite, it obviously isn't quite done. I mean, they had to be determined on a number of questions, but we started going through it to take a look at it from the CAC's perspective. And I think the general feeling was that they should redo the DEIS, but use the applicable parts that can be utilized from their previous application to go ahead and do that. But it's so hard to reference materials from all these different sources that if it could be repackaged as one, it would be helpful, even as our group. I mean, there's just huge amounts of materials. It's overwhelming how much they have to submit, but it is easier for us to understand it if they do it in a complete new package. They also expressed some concern about the trees that are being relocated along Route 22, about it being in the right-of-way, but I know that John Fenton is going to look into it, and the planning board's aware of it, and they were relocating some mature trees along the front entrance, and they were concerned about sight distance and right-of-way and all of that, but that's about all we did. We only got partway through the EAF, so that's ongoing.
We had a meeting today, Victoria was out at the county. We met with Dutchess County Wastewater Authority and Pedro from Silo Ridge. Janet Reagan was there on behalf of wastewater, and Marty Grossman, and Ed Mills, of course. And we discussed all the possibilities of getting funding for the balance of the $3 million that we do have the state 0% interest loan, EFC, Environmental Facilities Corporation. So all ideas were tossed out, and so we're working on some of those ideas. When it comes to fruition, you'll hear more about it, but we have another meeting coming up on December 3rd out there as well. So lots of progress and hopefully fruition.
Town clerk's report.
I just wanted to let everyone know that the trailer park permits are going out on Monday. They are due in January, but just so everyone, if you don't receive yours by the 1st of December, give us a call in the office and we'll resend you one out. We discussed everything else already. And I distributed earlier with the other documents the volunteer positions. Yesterday was the due date. To date, we've received for the assistant grant writer, there was 2 individuals who expressed an interest, 2 individuals for the Recreation Commission, 1 for ZBA, and then 1 for a non-advertised position for the Wastewater Committee. So I have no applications for Planning Board, Ethics Board, or Workforce Housing. So I don't know what the pleasure is of the board, if you wanted to do interviews for the ones that have multiple candidates. The one for ZBA is a current member on the ZBA who's seeking a reappointment.
So we wouldn't have an open place if that person got reappointed. Okay,
Yeah.
so we do have, that would be filled. Now CAC still doesn't know who is up.
I saw the
so
emails, so
we may or may not. I'm guessing
this is what we
do.
have to date.
Okay.
But we do have some, I know the Rec Commission has an open seat, so that they're really looking, eager to fill that position, because before we know it, March is going to be here, and their next person is going to be regularly up. So,
so
so I
they
don't
would
want them
fill
to.
the unexpired term.
They're filling the unexpired term right now of Pete Clare.
And how many years is that?
He's going to go to 2018. And then, I just know the new year's starting, and then the next seat's going to be up, and you're going to have to be re-advertising for that seat soon. And I don't want to leave them hanging. It's usually a 7-person board right now. So, I don't know what you guys want.
Do you want to set up a time for interview?
Well, okay. What works? Happens to be the Rec Commission chair is also present, so maybe she wants to.
I'd say we have to do it in December, right?
Yeah.
First week of December. I think Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday looks fine to me. Gretchen can't make it here until 7:30, right?
Right.
So it'd have to be
You want to do December?
15 or 20 minutes per applicant, and we could set it up for, I'm free any of those 3 nights. Maybe we can give a range.
Not Wednesday, so Monday or Tuesday, either December 2nd or December 3rd. What works best?
December 3rd looks better
Okay.
for me, I don't know. However wanna-
You have wastewater that day, but you're going to be back from
It's in,
Poughkeepsie.
it's at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Would you like to start at 7:30? Do you want it at 7:30? You want it at 7:45?
Yes. That's on the 3rd.
And I'll call each of the individuals tomorrow. That evening, did you want to pursue any further the assistant grant writer, or did you want to do that? Because if we're here,
I think so.
we can do the same evening.
You might as well do both.
Yeah.
And the rec commission.
All right.
So it's Cheryl and me.
Okay. Grant letter?
Good evening, board members. Mike Haggerty, Town Grant Writer. I've been working mostly on the Main Street grant. Victoria asked me to give an update on that today. I think it's moving along very nicely. We should meet the deadline of getting all expenses completed by December 9th. There is a 30-day grace period for the grant, even staying within the contracts in case there's any checks, canceled checks that may not come in by the deadline. So we do have that 30-day grace period. So far, Mr. Patel has been reimbursed $46,000. So he got his check last week. Thank you, Darlene, for all your efforts too in getting that to him and contacting the state. We had to just confirm that the money was owed to him and the expenses were incurred, which they were. And I met with him today. The project is moving along nicely. He expects to have everything done next week. He's been keeping track of all his expenses. I told him we can put together another claim next week and get that in quickly. The awning has been ordered, new windows have been ordered. I went and looked at the interior work, looks very nice, it's been painted, new wood floors in some of the apartments. So it's turning out to be a very nice project. I also met with Claire Houlihan. I got her expenses. Her project is done. The outside of her building has been painted nicely, very nicely, and actually she invested $42,000 in the paint job, and another $27,000 in a new roof, plus all sorts of money in the interior. She's only asking for $41,750 in grant from the town. I did prepare a claim for her today for you to sign, Victoria, so we should be able to get her a check as soon as we submit this. It's pretty straightforward. I did finalize the setup form for her, the environmental checklist. So everything has been done for her project. Hopefully she will be able to get a check and close that out. Also prepared a claim for the streetscape project because that is done. We're owed $25,000. I have that claim ready to go. The town did spend more, but it's an investment. It came out very nice. I think the total was about $30,000 that the town invested. No, actually more than that, maybe like almost close to $40,000, but you'll be getting $25,000 back from the grant. Peter Karras's time, I submitted the time. Kenneth Lynch, Associates for the benches and the hardscape work, and then Amendola Landscaping. So all of those were submitted, or will be submitted once you sign the claim. And then finally, I did do the claim for the grant administration. Came just under $10,000 for the 2-year period that the grant was implemented. Sherry gave me all the checks, which I appreciate. So I have that prepared. Hopefully that will go through. If we need extra expenses, I may have to just ask Sherry to maybe include some of her time. But it's just under 10,000. It's almost the full amount. I'm sure we'll be able to draw down everything. We may have to do a budget amendment, but we'll definitely get it. And then I called the library. That's the one missing piece. I have to get their expenses. I know their project is underway. They completed the storm windows. I think they're just waiting for the electrical work to the exterior sign. So I have to just get in touch with Charlotte Murphy and get her checks. I already called her, so she knows that. She's getting them organized, because I think she's leaving town after Thanksgiving, so I'm going to have to get that from her. So it's well underway. I think we will meet the deadline. I did speak to Aaron this week again, so I've been in touch with the Office of Community Renewal about the grant. So hopefully we'll be able to close it out and, be an accomplishment for us to move on to other grants and learn from this and possibly apply again for a Main Street grant, which does come up again. It'll be actually most likely in April that it's available again.
So Claire Houlihan is complete, streetscape is complete,
Administration is complete.
administration is complete.
Mr. Patel has been partially completed. He needs to finish his work.
And
He has some checks now.
And you'll finish up the library next week, probably.
Yes, and Mr. Patel also.
Okay.
I put the sign in the library, and I wanted to talk with Claire Houlihan about putting a sign in too, and I've called her several times. I don't know, do you have a different number than the one you gave me?
Yeah, or I can give you her email, or we could maybe set up a meeting. I could, if you want. I'll try to set up a meeting.
I just like to discuss with them, have them a choice where they're going to go, because ultimately we have to send a picture of the facade with a sign in place, so I want to be sure she's aware that it's going to be in there.
I did mention to her that
Okay.
you're doing that.
Okay.
So, yeah, she knows.
All right.
All right, well, I'll call her, because she was going to give me copies of checks for the electrical work that was done, which I may not need now since she spent $42,000 on the painting. And I called the state about that. They said it would be fine to go with the higher bid because he just has a better reputation. He did a really good job. She knows him, and she was more comfortable with him. So really, all I have to do is write a memo explaining that, and she'll be able to be reimbursed. She'll be reimbursed about $21,000, actually $21,200, which was the quote that the guy gave her. So that was it. Do you have any questions about the Main Street grant?
Now, did you meet with Rudy about the kitchen?
Yes, I did meet with Rudy this morning about the kitchen. That is also well underway. I should be able to complete it very soon. He gave me some more we did some more cost estimating. We believe the project is going to be about $53,000, including the equipment, which is about $25,000. We estimated the electrical work at about $5,000 and some site work, exhaust fan for $8,000, and site prep at about $10,000. He also feels there needs to be some work. It's going to be mostly gas equipment, so there may have to be some rearranging of the pipes and stuff for that. So we put together a budget. What I told him I would do is write up a sample letter of support, because I think that would be helpful to have a letter from the businesses who will be benefiting the farmers market, and possibly even an endorsement from the town board. I know you did pass a resolution endorsing the grant, so that's what I'm doing now, is just finalizing it. I have completed the narrative, just have to submit the budget and get that completed.
Well, would a letter of support from Dee Dee Barrett also help?
I'm sure it would be very helpful. Anytime you have an elected state official supporting an application to the state, it's definitely a positive thing. So I could do that. I'm
Dee
sure
Dee's very gung-ho for farmers and trying to get local markets, supported in different ways. I think this would be right up her alley.
Yeah, I've seen her at the farmer's market, so that's why I thought she would be helpful.
It's a good idea. I have to call her anyway, because I was going to have her help us with Trail to Train, getting potentially Metro North moving along a little quicker.
Oh, yeah.
So she volunteered to, bring together whoever needed to be,
Well, we
contacted.
Victoria and I did have a conference call this week with WSP Cells about the Trail to the Train project. I don't know if you want me to
Sure,
mention
go
that?
ahead.
Well, It was suggested that maybe, because we also said, could we do anything, should we call? And they actually felt that maybe we should hold off on that for now, because they are working with Metro North, they have met with Metro North, they are working on the right-of-way acquisition now. But I think our phone call was helpful, and we asked him to give updates to the town. Yes, I mean, he knows that.
We're a little nervous.
Yes. Well, and we talked about the fact that, we've been getting his bills, and, but I was very happy with what he said. I think he is doing a good job. He has met with Metro North several times. He is going to be sending us language.
Meeting with David Roth in the real estate department. They have chosen an appraiser for, they're part of the right-of-way. But it's, and then the Department of Transportation is reviewing the design, so, everything is moving along.
I'm trying to be able to tap into our other grants to help pay for some of his design costs, because we've tapped out the maximum amount on the TEP grant. The town has been reimbursed already.
Did you call the dormitory authority? Because we needed to
Yes.
see if we can use that for other than the right-of-way.
Yes, they want just to know that we are still interested in the project, and what it is that there's been, they won't give us a contract until the right-of-way is clearly delineated. But Senator Ball's office called, and I just reassured them that we are still interested in the grant. It's just that there's been some delays with Metro North, having a lot of concerns about the right-of-way issues, really. Metro North was kind of delayed it a little bit by having a very intensive review. So I'm trying to be able to tap into that $100,000 to help pay for the design costs. The town has been reimbursed, though, about $80,000 in expenses. The town has been reimbursed $52,000 of the design costs already from the Greenway and from the TEP grant. So we're trying to get an executed contract with the Dormitory Authority to draw down that money, plus the $100,000 from Dutchess County. We discussed that in the conference call too, and Daniel Breyer, who's in charge of this now, was saying that it really is an ADA compliant trail, and so that should be covered really by the county grant. However, we talked about the need to really create a very user-friendly entrance to the trail, the connection between the Harlem Valley Rail Trail and the extension. So hopefully he'll be able to design it so that it is more friendly to people with physical disabilities.
Is that going to be at an additional cost, or is that within the agreed upon price that we had for?
Well, he has a
design
cost
services?
estimate now for there's been a cost estimate.
An additional charge?
Oh,
for our
no.
design fees? No.
No,
He's doing it
hopefully not.
within his.
Well, we talked about that
Yeah,
his
it's
estimate was
within the original.
$95,000 to do the preliminary design. We're in the preliminary design phase right now.
Right.
And we want to get out of that phase. The only one thing that we could do that I think would be helpful was maybe reach out to the Department of Transportation to see where they are with the review of the final design plan.
I'd be delighted to have Dee Dee or anybody else make sure that we are doing everything within our powers to move it forward, because we have the CDBG grant is going to be due, and they won't consider it complete until that construction of the rail trail is done in August 2014. Is that right?
Right.
Right.
That is our deadline. That's our new deadline, if you ask me, is because $100,000 is weighing on that particular deadline. So if we can move anything forward faster with a phone call to Dee Dee Barrett's office and say, look, we're under this new time constraint. We don't have endless amounts of time to construct this. We have to have it done by August 2014, which means you have to get your preliminary design approvals done ASAP.
I don't think it could hurt. It probably would help. And
Well,
we can also reach out
There's
to.
about 5 different departments who are doing their review
Reviews.
of this. Yeah, that's why we got, 5 different copies, so each department can do it simultaneously, but they each have a different process they go through.
He did say that this is the most labor-intensive phase. Things should move relatively quickly once we get final design approval, like the right-of-way acquisitions and the final design. They're doing
Yeah.
a lot of the designing now in the preliminary phase, he was saying.
Yeah,
Don't we
he has
have to have
everything in
legal-
place for the, I mean, he has everything in place for the right-of-way, so we can immediately go to that, you know, to that next step.
But then we'll have to have the actual easements and legal documents in place before anything's constructed, right?
He said he was going to send a sample of the paperwork that is needed to be given to the landowner, or a sample, I guess, of,
Yeah,
wasn't that
he
that he
hasn't
said?
sent, yeah, he's gonna send that to us so that we can see what it is.
Right. It would probably have to be a trail easement of some sort with with Tony Zanino.
Right.
And he would
The
most,
sooner
he
we
probably
can
too will
move
want
that
an
along.
appraisal of his land to see what the value of his donation is to the town, because he
Yeah,
can get some tax benefits from that.
Well, we just can't do that right now, but we're, you know, he's poised to do that as soon as they hear back from the Department of Transportation, each of the departments. I mean, everything is, you know, ready to go.
Right, we can't really move to the next phase because until they've approved the
Right.
location of the trail, you can't really go into negotiation and work out the appraisals if you don't know where the trail's going. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct, that's correct.
Right.
All right.
So,
Well, I think the sooner the DOT weighs in, you know, that's probably our main.
they've had it for about a month now, so I could definitely call Carolyn Ryan. That's where I would start. She's been very nice. She's willing to meet with the town also
Mhm.
to talk about this. It's not like they're
I think
holding
it'd be
things
very
up.
helpful because it just feels like we want to be as proactive as we can.
Would you be interested in that, having a meeting with Carolyn Ryan?
Well,
and
we can,
this
you know,
DOT?
we can do a conference call.
Or conference, that's what she
Yeah,
suggested.
because I called her a few weeks ago. That's why, you know, to find out exactly where we were, but everybody was, you know, each of the departments was reviewing.
All right.
So we can do that again.
So Dee Dee would
We
be
have
happy
any
to be part of
questions?
that if that helps at
Sure.
all. I mean, she'd just like to help in any way she can to
Well,
help us
whatever we
make
can
that
do to
happen.
move it along, because, you know, we want to have a date where we can start construction and, you know, and get it completed.
Is
Well, that
there
was nice. He did say in the conversation he still feels it can be built next year.
community development block grant money, could that be used to help pay for the design work that has been done?
No,
It has to be new work? It has
Well,
to
I
be just
don't-
it has to be
construction?
handicapped.
Yeah,
Well,
It's
that's part of
for-
it is handicapped accessible. They have designed a handicapped accessible trail for us.
I don't think so. I think it's construction.
Could you ask for sure? Because if we
All
could
right.
leverage,
you can
10%,
sometimes include design, I know,
20% for
maybe up to
design.
10-15% of the
Right.
construction is eligible normally, so
it'd be
maybe they
great.
could. I'll ask.
But we
Right.
have to, but he's already done some of that design, so,
Right, you're saying, can we be reimbursed for what has already been done?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Well, I'll ask her.
Because when he did when we had the hearing at Wassaic Firehouse that time, they showed what they were doing for handicap accessibility. So they already
Absolutely.
have designed
Yeah.
some of it.
The whole thing is handicapped accessible.
I know, but I'm saying the entrance from the train
Oh.
station,
Okay.
because I believe that's what we were, when we applied for the grant, that was for the entrance.
Right, right. Because there's such a wide
And they're still
expanse.
working on it, right? So it's relevant now. Hopefully they would consider doing that.
It could be. It all depends on how much it's going to be and how much you need, because we are probably, the town still is going to have to pay some of its own funds as a match. We don't really know what the final cost will be until you go out to bid. But- All right. The only other grant that's on the horizon that may be of interest to the town that's due in February is the New York State Archives grant. And I was just mentioned it to a couple people today. We're excited about the possibility of doing something in that area. I know there's regional cooperation is a key, but you can actually get a major grant if two towns do something or two organizations do something, but you may already be working on that, I know, Dawn, so, but it's a
Well,
major
Linda
grant.
Bull was here. She stopped by and spoke to Dawn.
I know, she's a great
So-
resource.
She's our regional person for the New York State Archives.
That's due in February.
Well,
We're
the,
working with the town of Dover and the town of Beekman.
Sounds good.
She took the concept to Albany this past week. We'll see.
What are you thinking of?
It's really Dover's main concept idea, so she's waiting to see if the idea will work and what they need, and that way we get the appropriate language within the grant request. So
Is it archival?
yes.
Yes, figured. Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
Safekeeping of our records. That's good. I was going to ask Mike if you could help with the voucher for the dance program, which needs to be done ASAP. I've got the,
Oh, yeah, the check
Cancel
came in.
check.
It has come in, the check. Oh, she sent, Sherry sent that in an email. Okay.
if you can do that, that would be great. If you need me to do it, if you're busy with other things, let me know, but it
I
needs
can
to
do
go
that. That's
in.
pretty straightforward. I'll just use last
ASAP.
year's as a model, and
Yeah.
it was more than what is the grant amount? 470,000 or $470?
$470,
Right,
I
right.
believe so.
So you have spent more than that.
More than that, so we have the check.
How much
canceled
was the check, or was
The
it?
check was for 2,000,
Okay, so that's fine.
and I think I CC'd you on that, so if you don't have it, let me know
No, I got it.
by
I saw
email.
it.
Okay.
I'll do that this weekend.
Okay. Thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
We have an English as a second language agreement with Dutchess Community College in the town of Amenia. It's a letter of agreement between Dutchess Community College and the town of Amenia. Program title, English as a Second Language Training, total hours of instruction, 6 hours a week, 15 to 16 weeks per semester, September 2013 to August 2014. Program objective to provide instruction that will enable students to use the English language in everyday settings. Maximum class size 30 students, minimum class size 10 students. I guess we just need to sign it. Dutchess Community College responsibilities, DCC will provide the agreed-upon ESL curriculum. DCC will provide instruction and materials. DCC will employ the teachers for 6 hours of instruction a week. DCC will provide a class for 10 or more students. Class will be canceled if fewer than 10 students register. DCC will have $1 million liability floater naming the town of Amenia as beneficiary. Now for us, we provide a classroom with appropriate teaching environment, provide a safe environment, classroom building for students and faculty. And then students will pay a tuition of $20 a semester. Tuition assistance is available through Berkshire Taconic Foundation grant. The days will be Monday and Wednesday, September 2013 through August 2014 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Amenia Town Hall. And I believe we just need to sign the letter agreement.
Well, you should approve it. The last time, because they had done this, I don't know if it was for the spring or the summer.
Yes, they did.
We did it by license agreement.
Mhm.
They provided a very similar document to what you have here. But I had spoken to the contact person at Dutchess Community College, and they were okay with entering into a license agreement. And it's up to the board. There's some terms that you want to include. One is that, you know, the town should have the ability to use the space in the event that you need it in an emergency, things like that. There is some language here about insurance, but usually add some language that the licensee agrees to indemnify the,
So in addition to
school.
the letter of agreement, we should also have a license agreement?
what would be a license agreement that would take the place
Would
of
take
the
the place of
letter.
this?
Correct.
Okay, is that something you,
What I can do is contact, there was a person that I spoke to the last time. I can contact that person and see if they're willing to enter into the license, you know, the same license agreement with the same terms. If that's the case, it's just a matter of changing the dates. And then, the last time the board approved it by resolution, and we could do the same thing.
So do you want to prepare that
I
for
can
us?
do that and then, prepare it for the December meeting. This has a term starting in September, so they're here now already teaching the course?
Well, they've been teaching it.
Okay.
I think this is like a renewal.
Correct. Yeah, I can't remember the exact term the last time. Maybe it was September 2012 to August 2013. But I can contact them, see if they're willing to enter into the same license agreement with the same terms,
Okay.
and then prepare that for your workshop meeting
In December.
in December.
Okay. Is everyone agreeable to that?
Sounds fine.
Fine.
Okay, we spoke about open positions on various committees. We were going to interview the 2 recreation candidates on December 3rd at 7:30, if that's convenient for you also, Jen and Gretchen.
Let me just check. That's fine.
And
do both of them have a full application?
they made out a volunteer application.
I'm not seeing Debbie Downey's.
We'll make sure
I'll
we get
get
it.
a copy from the town clerk from her.
It's on your desk. It's right in front of you. There was packets that were handed out, and they're in front of everyone. It's going to be underneath the backboard, so it's probably I can see it from here. Underneath the backflow, there's a packet. It shows open volunteer positions. It's left on the table.
It looks like this. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I have the full. Yep, cool.
Okay, we have a resolution, transfer of funds. What number would that be?
76.
Resolution number 76 of 2013, transfer of funds. Whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary, none anticipated to amend the budget. Whereas the town budget line 2770.1.0 unclassified revenues requires an increase in amount of $398.36 for funds received from Mary Wilkins, Amenia Holiday of Lights Organization. Whereas the town budget line 85104.1.0 community beautification requires an increase in the amount of $398.36 for the purpose of our Holiday of Lights event. Whereas the town budget line 80201.1.00 planning personal services requires an increase in the amount of $1,648.38 for the purpose of personal services for Susan Metcalf, and town budget line 31201.1.00. Police and constables personal service requires an increase in the amount of $314.36 for the purpose of personal services. And whereas town budget line 19004 1.49 special items. CE contingency requires a decrease in the amount of $1,962.74. Whereas town budget line 13104.1.40, Director of Finance, CE account support, requires an increase in the amount of $1,397.75 for accounting support. And 2013 AUD preparation. Whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 special items CE contingency requires a decrease in the amount of $1,397.75. Whereas town budget line 14204.1.00 attorney CE requires an increase in the amount of $10,274.44 for the purpose of attorney fees to Daniels, Porco, and Lusardi LLP and Whitman, Osterman, and Hanna LLP. Whereas town budget line 14204.1.139 attorney CE special land requires a decrease in the amount of $4,832.09, and town budget line 19004.1.49 special item CE contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $5,442.35. Whereas town budget line 71104.1.000 Amenia Park CE requires an increase in the amount of $666.70 for flood sanitation for 2 porta toilets, electric and well sanitation at Beekman Park, and easy street cleaning for bicycle symbols. And whereas the town budget line 71101.1.140 Amenia Park Personal Service Recreation Director requires a decrease in the amount of $346.70, and town budget line 19004.1.49 special items CE contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $320. Whereas town budget line 13554.01.44 assessor CE certiorieries requires an increase in the amount of $1,224.50 for legal fees to Daniels, Porco, and Lusardi LLP for tax certiorieries. And whereas the town budget line 13554.1.43 assessor CE capital project requires a decrease in the amount of $1,224.50. Whereas town budget line 81604.1.000 refuse garbage CE requires an increase in the amount of $12 for the purpose of refunding Royal Carding Service Company for 3 tickets at $4 per ticket. And town budget line 16204.1.004 building CE requires an increase in the amount of $1,056.54 for services from Business Automation Services, BIS. Whereas town budget line 19004.1.49 special items CE contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $1,068.54. And whereas town budget line 2010.1 senior trip fees requires an increase in the amount of $1,440.50 for the purpose of senior trip fees. Whereas the town budget line 67724.1.87 programs for aging CE senior trips requires an increase in the amount of $1,440.50. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board authorizes a transfer of necessary budget lines to process a transaction. I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
I want to know why the lines are being put together. I mean, every time we've done it before, it's been an individual item from one to another, so it's really clear and easy to follow. But if we, but like for the sharrows, they were bundled in with septic.
Well, those were all recreation items. And those,
so one
and those,
line, that
yeah.
one line was affected by those 3 items.
No, I understand that the one line was affected by those 3 items, but the one part of it is, you know, it stays within recreation, where the other part for the sharrows came from contingency and is just being paid through recreation. And the way that this is written, it's just not clear, and I just wanted to know why we went from every other time we've done this, it's been very clear, you know, it's coming from A and going to B, and this time we've got like 3 of them that are all bundled together. The refuse garbage with the computing support, for example.
I guess it was the way they,
Did you prep this, Ian?
No,
Okay.
this is done by the bookkeeper.
By Sherry?
Yeah.
I'll follow up with her.
I was wondering about can you take money out of a capital project line and put it towards an item that's not a capital project? I guess I always imagined those were reserved for specific
well,
items.
you can't take it from a capital reserve fund.
Right.
That's that's not what you're talking about. It's
Which one?
just a
Okay.
budgeted
It's,
capital item.
At the bottom of page 1.
Yeah, it's not a capital project fund. A
Okay.
fund, you wouldn't be able to take it out.
A
But you
capital
can take
reserve
it-
fund, you couldn't.
You couldn't, but out of a capital project line, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's just a budget item, you can
You can move those around.
things
You can
from
move those
one
around.
budget
Until
item.
it's encumbered, you can move it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, these match.
Oh, no, I know. It's just the question of whether or not you can move capital items from a non-capital. When you set aside things for capital, I think of that as being specifically for capital, but that's good.
As long as it's not a capital reserve
Right, as
fund,
long as there's not attached to
No,
a
it's
you
specific
can move
fund.
things between different budgeted items.
Yeah, it's just a line, it's not a
Yeah,
fund.
as long as you do it by resolution, which is what you're doing.
Okay.
Councilwoman Crody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood is noted as absent.
And we need to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay vouchers for a total amount of $125,940.26. Does someone want to make that motion?
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Crody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up, I gave you copies of. It was pointed out to me that when you are flying the American flag 24/7, that it's required that the flag have a light. And the light that we have out in the front does not adequately fall on the flag. I had John Lacurto look at it, and he said that what we could do is install a LED light above the existing fixture that we have, and kind of aim it to flood, the flagpole, so that the flag would be lit 24/7. He gave me an estimate of labor of $375. I don't know what you want, if you want to get other bids or what you want to do about it, but it's really a sign of respect. I don't know if there's actually a law in the books that what the flag should have, should have the light on it if we're going to be flying it 24/7.
Well, it definitely should have a light shining on it if you fly it 24/7, but I would like to see the opportunity for 2 other local businesses to bid on it. We have 2 other local businesses. And I'd also like to have an understanding of what the light pollution is going to be, any overflow lighting from that light, if it'll cause any type of distraction.
Yeah, well, that's what, why he drew kind of a little,
No, I
diagram
see
to
it's the
see.
picture of the light, and it's got an arrow pointing from the flag to the light, but depending upon the type of light and the wattage and all of that, you could possibly get excessive light shining from it. That might be a distraction, especially to drivers. Like at Troutbeck, when you're going around the road, they've got the one light that faces that sign, but it really hits you in the eye as you're coming into Amenia, and it looks like an oncoming car. So unless you're aware of that.
well, he said the light itself would only be 38 watts.
Yeah, so I'd just like to know what type of illumination we'd be facing with that. That's my input on that.
Maybe we can get a couple other bids and get that question answered.
Does it, will it shine into the window of the apartments across the street? If this is mounted on the roof, is it on the bank?
No,
Or is
it's the existing light that we have out there.
Yeah.
It would come right off there and just go directly toward the flag.
Oh, but it's uplighting, no?
No, not really.
No.
Okay.
It's more of a direct, straight light.
Okay, yeah. I know we had complaints before about the light shining in the windows, but
If it was
If this
if
won't
it was
do-
a down angled, it wouldn't be a problem because then we could hood it to prevent the spill. But because it's straight,
yeah. Well, the wattage is low, so that's good. Okay.
And we have information that's been given to all the new board members about 2014 training school. They're having, the closest would be the Desmond Hotel and Conference Center in Albany from January 15th through January 17th, and I believe everybody's been given that information. And I have, and I guess supervisor's comments, we can hear from the deputy supervisor. You may have noticed that we do have a gate in front of Beekman Park. Oh, did you want to speak? Yes?
Hi, I'm Christine Ford. I'm from the Recreation Commission. I'm here to tell you that we closed down Beekman Park. The air's been drained, the water's drained, and we got the netting down off the baseball, all the baseball stuff down. The only thing that's out there right now is soccer equipment, and they'll be taken down within this week. Everything's closed up, blocked up. We got the new gate up. I know there's probably people in the community that's a little upset, but I'm actually upset because they were going in on the softball field, and I've got a mess on there already again. So we've tried to stop that in between, but you know what? The gate works out really nice. We have 2 keys. I have a key, and Sean has a key, and I just made up 2 more because I got a PO for that today. So I'll give one to Stanley, and I realize he's not here. I didn't realize that until I called him. He's down in Florida, and then I'll give one to Mrs. Perotti there, so she can have it on her presence too. So
could
we
you
have,
give one to Mary so she can put one with the
I don't
keys
really
for the
want to
town?
keep it laying around in the town and just anybody take it. I kind of want to know who's going to be there, so it's responsible.
You can let her know what the parameters are for checking out the key. That's not a problem. But she has a lockbox to keep all the keys for the town, and that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I got that done. Had a bunch of kids helping, mainly mine, so made sure everything was taken care of down there. Just to let everybody know that movie night for December will be canceled because of Mr. Devine and myself have other stuff going on, and if I did show up, it would be about 7 o'clock at night, and that's going to get a little too late. So we'll reconvene again in January. I believe it's the first Friday of the month. And we'll start up back up then and do that. I think that's pretty much, basketball will be starting soon. I know Chip was working on that. I'm not sure, do you know much about that? No. And then I do know that the men's basketball will be starting up on Sundays, and Chris Klingler will be doing that. He needs new basketball, so I told him to take out, I have money in my line for Farm League, so I told him to please take it out of there and get some new basketballs so they can play on Sundays. I know there were some young men here, teenagers, here yesterday, and they were practicing. I'm not sure if they're here today too or not, but they're enjoying it too. They're there until about 5 o'clock. They sign in with Dawn, and so they're enjoying that too. Eventually, once it gets more the weather, I'm going to be bringing that pitching practice back in, and then we'll be doing more of a wiffle ball. I'm going to have sign-ups for baseball and softball and all that earlier this year so I can get stuff prepared. We didn't have our meeting in October. None of us were able to meet for the Recreation Commission. I apologize to the public. It's just how it worked out. Having 6 members kind of was not good. We could not get a quorum of 4 people, so at one time. We did meet in November, and we did do a donation of like $250 so we can get arts and crafts supplies for the Parade of Lights on the 14th. And we're not going to meet in December, but we'll reconvene in January.
We'd love to have you and your family help with Wasaic decorations. Not to put you on the spot, but put December 7th in, or look in your calendar and see if your boys
What time
would be
is that?
helpful. We finish up in Amenia around 12. We'll probably eat lunch and then 1 o'clock work
Okay.
there. For
We
a
might be
couple of
there.
hours.
At the same time, I'm doing a benefit dinner up in Millerton to help a few students go to France and England. I'm in the middle of a lot of stuff
Yeah, that sounds
right now.
totally fine.
It's that crazy time of year. Everybody's involved in everything.
Yeah. Anybody out there has some time and wants to help decorate Wasaic? It's small and doable. We get it done in an hour and a half or 2.
We do when we work together.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has its moments. So
Yeah.
December 7th, 1 o'clock at Lantern Inn.
There's basketball applications if you want to go to the town clerk. Dawn has them.
The basketball program that they're trying to redo that met here last year, the applications were sent through the school district through their email system and went home with the children, as well as we have them available here in the town clerk's office. Come in, fill out your application. Right now, the numbers for the Tiny Tots was on the low end, so if they don't get more, there will not be that session. So we're encouraging everyone to come fill out those applications, send them in with your student, and they can go up to John Zen's in the high school or drop them off here, and I'll bring them up to John. And as of right now, it's going to be held up at EBIS at the high school. So right now, we don't have a session for
We don't
this
have a session
building.
here.
So if we get more applications, we can talk to John, and we'll get that class here, because we've been trying to hold a spot in the gym for them.
And will you be able to sit in on the recreation interviews on Tuesday?
Yep, that
7:30?
Tuesday I can. Wednesday I can't. Concert night.
Okay, Tuesday at 7:30.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Krista.
The other thing about Beekman Park, I wanted to mention that the Amenia Fire Department had their Gabby Farkas softball tournament, and as a result of the monies collected from that, they will be donating another scoreboard, a digital one like we already have for the Little League field. This one will be for the softball field, and it'll be put between the Little League and softball field, and they'll be putting it up in the spring. And on behalf of the town board, would like to thank the Amenia Fire Company for their generous donation to Beekman Park. The Amenia Lions 300 Club Dinner Dance as on December 7th from 6:30 to 10:30. The money that's collected from that goes back to the community. They're having drawings every week, and there's several drawings for cash during the evening. There are still tickets available. You'll be able to buy them from any Lions member. Vicki already spoke about the Parade of Lights, December 17th. On December 7th, I believe, is when the is South Amenia's Silver Tea is the 7th.
That's Saturday.
Decorating
right.
day.
During the day.
Decorating day, so you can do both.
Come,
Just go from
help
one
us
to the other.
decorate, and then go and have a
Silver tea.
lovely silver tea.
Right.
And they are also still selling oranges. They will be selling them until November 30th. If you're interested in navel and juice oranges, pink grapefruit and tangelos, you would be able to call 373-9620, 789-1206, or 877-3939. Delivery is expected on or about December 17th. This is a major fundraiser for the church. So if you're interested, you could call any of those numbers. Does anyone have anything else?
December 7th is going to be a busy day because Smithfield Church has their annual Christmas concert at 4 o'clock. There'll be a reception as well, a closing reception for the photography exhibit. So everyone is welcome to come. And I won't be decorating in town, I'll be decorating at the church. We have, our tree is fairly good size, and the wreaths are coming soon, so I'll be busy there. But before we go any further, did you get the notice on this, the backflow?
Right, and I had,
What's happening with that? Because when I ran into John coming in, he said he had to shut the furnace down because there was no water to it. So that doesn't sound like a good situation.
well, it turns out, he has to put the furnace back on and add water to it. There was some confusion whether or not we actually needed the backflow, so it turns out that we don't actually need it because there is no water that backflows into the water that we use in the town hall. So he's going to be, putting the water back in the furnace. But apparently at the time, right after the certified inspector looked at it and said, we didn't pass, we didn't realize that at the time.
Okay. Okay, good, because it
So
feels chilly
he
in
had
here.
to drain the furnace to do the backflow test?
Yes.
And how much is it going to cost us to have it?
John is just going to put the water back in it.
Yeah, how much is that going to cost us?
It's part of, I don't really know what it's gonna cost us. I mean, it's part of his job.
That's what he
I mean, he
does.
takes care of the furnace.
So it's covered under his contract?
Right.
Okay. No, I was concerned because when I, saw the notice come in earlier, I looked, of course, immediately went and found a list of plumbers that would be able to fix the leaking backflow and forwarded it to Mary so she could look around Amenia and Dutchess County to find people that we were working with. I noticed that the
Yeah.
person who did the
You sent the
inspection
list. Right.
wasn't even from Dutchess County.
No, there's a list in the state.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get her to, as
Yeah.
always, find someone
But John wasn't even
local
aware it was
first.
shut down, so I mean, that could be a dangerous situation. If you have a boiler that's up and running without water in it.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lack of communication between whoever shut it down or
Yeah,
shut
it
off the
was.
water. I don't know who shut off the water, John didn't know.
Does anyone know who shut off the water?
Well, I think probably the plumber that was here.
Inspecting it, yeah.
The inspector shut off the water?
No, I don't think the inspector did. I'm not really sure who shut off the water. I know they were looking at it because we failed it, so we had a plumber come and look at it. But I don't know exactly who shut off the water.
Who was the plumber that we had come?
Mark Taylor. He usually comes when we have emergencies.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else? Because we need to go into executive session.
I had-
Personnel issue.
emailed a meeting that is going to be taking place in Pine Plains, December 11th, 4:30. And it's the partnership that we formed informally as a Northeast, I think it's called the Northeast Consortium. And I was looking for any other town board members who could attend as well. I'll be there December 11th at 4:30. It's 4:30 to 6:30. Pace Law School is coming to talk to us about some of the priorities that as a region we could address, mostly to deal with affordable housing options for our Northeast Dutchess communities.
When
So
is that, the
it's,
11th?
December 11th at 4:30 at the Pine Plains Town Hall. And I believe it's Tiffany Zazula and John Nolan will be conducting that for us. We did a series of workshops here on affordable housing. I think you attended one, Gretchen, and maybe Victoria, or I can't remember, but they're looking for more participation.
Bill
I
attended,
think Bill
yeah.
is not able to continue on, but
Yeah.
if anybody else would like to attend with me, they welcome the additional support on for town of Amenia. I'd also just mention that the Arrowhead collection, there was a concern from Ann Linden, who's the curator for Amenia Historical Society, about security here at the town hall, so they're looking into Maplebrook School and other places where they can exhibit it. But I would mention if anybody out there has glass cases that could help display the collection that Mr. Hoadley had, our longtime town historian, had an amazing Arrowhead collection of Indian artifacts. Those are now available to be exhibited, but we need to have appropriate cases to display them. I have one that's about 8 feet long that was in KJ's that I think we could get if we had enough manpower to move it to an appropriate location. I have one small one that somebody donated already, but we need probably 3 large display cases to keep the Arrowhead safe while being exhibited, and the archivist who's working available to help us display it will keep, wants to keep the collection intact and have all the labels, done. He'll help the whole thing, but if anybody has display cases, let me know, or Ann Linden know. That's it, all I have.
Is there anything else?
Vicki, did you have a chance to mention the volunteers for Holiday Lights?
I did.
And then,
That we need lots of volunteers from all.
yeah, and they can give Kevin a call at 789-1026, or
You can call Vicki Doyle at 845-489-7826.
yeah, I'm sorry, that was 845-789-1026, Kevin Casson. And
We'll be happy to, we need volunteers to bake, we need volunteers to bring things into the town hall, to set up, to decorate, to do all kinds of different things. So please give us a call if you have any interest in helping for the program on December 14th. And don't forget to attend.
mostly,
It's the most important.
absolutely. That was all I have.
Okay. And make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Reaver?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.